If you're after a car that's a perfect mix of modern but also with that vintage twist, then may I introduce you to the all-new MG Cyberster. Now, MG have a rich history of two-seater roadsters, so to bring one back into their lineup, but with that modern twist of being a 100% electric vehicle, not only kind of feels right, but also impressive. Because the Cyberster is a one-of-a-kind EV, it's the UK's first all-electric roadster, and I think it's quite apt that MG are the first ones to achieve that very impressive milestone. And to be first in anything, you kind of have to be the best, and this car very much is. But before we delve deeper into the MG Cyberster, if you want to find out more, or in fact any of its MG counterparts, then contact Paul Rigby MG. Owning the title as UK's first all-electric roadster is a pretty staggering feat, and I think that MG should be regarded highly for bringing back a roadster into their lineup. They're celebrating the history while also providing us with a very modern car. It's modern in its looks, modern in its interior, and certainly when out on the roads.
That is ridiculous.
So it's obvious that this EV has plenty of talking points, but I think one of the big talking points about this car is the price tag. Now, the prices start from less than £55,000, which you might think £55,000 is not an affordable car, is towards the more expensive range in terms of the UK car market. But for a car that looks like a supercar, that drives like a supercar, less than £55,000, I think it's very reasonable. Design to Cyberster is not just very keen on the eye, it's rather aggressive, it's rather furious in its look. And if you were driving this around town and people kind of don't know about the Cyberster, don't know what this car is, they'd look at this and probably think, are you a footballer, are you a millionaire? It has that feel about it. And with this really elongated long bonnet with the little dips, them two LED headlights which come in, this almost smiler looking front end. Overall, this is a stunning piece of kit. But what I like about MG is they've not just made a vain looking car, and by that I mean making a car that looks really good on the outside, but on the inside and what's under this bonnet is pretty naff. Because the way this car drives, well, I'll let you see for yourself.
Oh, MG, what have you done? With a 0-6 time of 3.2 seconds, there's 496 horsepower. It's a rather quick EV, all right. That pull off the line always melts your face. But I just think MG have manufactured the Cyberster so well. You feel like you're glued to the roads whilst also not feeling like your bum's scraping along the floor like other roadsters. You look at the MX-5 and you sit in that and it's so low to the ground, so you kind of understand why that feels like it's glued to the road. This, you're in a nice comfortable seating position. Obviously it's lower down than other cars, but the control, the way it moves on the road, it's effortless. This is a beastly machine. MG should be proud of this one.
I think I need a breather. And a well-needed break from the MG Cyberster's ridiculous performance is the perfect time to talk to you about mile range and charging, because obviously this is an EV, you're going to need to charge, and you're going to want to know how far the Cyberster can go, because you're going to want to drive this a lot. It's a rather fun car to drive. And I was pleasantly surprised when I found out you can actually get up to 360 mile range with the MG Cyberster, which for a high-performing car is very good and kind of trumps a lot of regular EVs out on the market. Now, that 360 mile range only comes on the single motor version. The dual motor, which gets that even more ridiculous performance with that 0-6 time of 3.2 seconds, provides 276, so still rather usable, and you're only really losing about 30 miles between the two. And when it comes to charging, well, that's almost just as quick as the Cyberster itself, because you can get from 10 to 80% in around about 38 minutes. So it's not only lightning quick out on the roads, but also in the charging bay, so it kind of tops off this EV, meaning you can have fun in it, because I think this car is meant to be enjoyed, but also makes it a rather practical EV. And when I talked about single motor and dual motor MG Cyberster, they are the two spec levels. It's very simplistic in that there's not loads of trim levels that you kind of have loads of add-on features. You kind of get a lot of value for money with this car, because the single motor has 19-inch alloy wheels, rear wheel drive, 316 mile range, and that ever so slightly slower 0-60 time of around about 5 seconds. The dual motor has 20-inch alloy wheels, all-wheel drive, 276 miles, and that ridiculous 0-60 time of 3.2 seconds. So whether you go for the single motor or the dual motor MG Cyberster, it's kind of nice to know that you're getting pretty much the same car. bar the mile range, bar the performance, or the all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive configuration, and the size of your wheels. But 19-inch, 20-inch, there's not really much difference. You're still going to be getting things like electric hood, and also the pièce de résistance of the MG Cyberster, the scissor doors, which reveals a rather nice interior. And I think this interior not only feels right, but I think also necessary. You know, what's the point in having the luxury looks on the outside, the ridiculous performance, and kind of a slapdash interior and that doesn't have any wow factor? And this interior definitely does. You know, with the part suede, part Napa leather seats, which reflect in the centre console, this massive column coming out here and all the way along the dash. You also get plenty of tech. You have this trifecta of screens. You have 2 infotainment screens either side, and also your digital dash. You also have another touchscreen down here which has your climate controls in, although there is another section here, but it's also got all your different driver settings, seating settings, your ambient lighting. There's plenty of configurations with that, and there's also plenty of configurations with the seats. Electronically adjustable seats with 2 safe seating positions, so whether you're tall or short like me, you're still going to be able to find that perfect driving position. And you're going to want to do that because you're going to want to be relaxed and enjoy the drive of the Cyberster. In terms of space, well, it is a Roadster, so you kind of won't be expecting loads of storage, but you get an alright amount. You get 2 cup holders which can actually be lifted up, so you have a flat surface here if you don't need to store anything there. You have a little pocket, maybe put your phone in, a little storage compartment here with a USB and USB-C port, although you kind of don't need this because it does have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. You have a little netting bit behind your seat, so a bit more storage. Kind of could put, you know, your rucksack, your valuables if you want to keep them hidden. But your infotainment screens, although they're ever so slightly blocked by the steering wheel, it's not that big of an issue. You can still quite clearly see your sat nav, or, you know, if you want your DAB radio, you can still manually adjust that. Very comfortable on the drive. And also this one to your right, which has your 360 parking cameras in, also has nice things like weather. It shows where the nearest MG dealership is if you need to charge. That's kind of all your information. This is kind of the fun bit, your sat nav, your radio, etc. Nice leather wrapped steering wheel, has that sporty look about it. It has 2 paddles on the back, one select your driver mode, the other your regenerative braking settings, essentially to get more out of that electric mile range. Your lane keep assist on your left, and also that red super sport mode, which if you have a bit of free roads, I'd advise testing out because it's rather fun. You also get a premium Bose sound speaker system. And overall, don't think I have any complaints when it comes to this interior. It has that wow factor, has all the tech that you need. It's also very practical, the way it utilised the space down here, and even though the storage is limited, it's a 2-seater Roadster. What you're kind of expecting, but I think they kind of maximised it well. Overall, I think I just love this car. And I think the back perfectly wraps up not only my love for this car, but also the Cyberster as a whole, because you have that contrasting black metallic effect all the way around. You have these very unique rear lighting with that strip all the way across, accentuated rear bumper. Overall, it's just the epitome of sleek when it comes to design. Now, as for the boot capacity, and you might think it doesn't have that usable space, it's a Roadster, you actually get 249 litres, which goes pretty far back. You're all the way back here, so maybe getting big suitcases in and out wouldn't be ideal. However, a weekly food shop or stuff for a weekend away could fit rather nice and pretty snug. And I think the MG Cyberster is the epitome of weekend road trip car. Imagine a day like this, the roof's down, have that ridiculous performance in a car that looks this nice and is actually just as practical as it looks. Overall, MG have done excellent work with the Cyberster. And although the MG Cyberster is more of a fun car in a way, I feel like it's going to appeal more to sort of driving enthusiasts, people who enjoy a car rather than just having it as a means to get from A to B. However, it's still very practical in terms of you have all your infotainment, your built-in sat-nav, you know, your wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. And when you're out on the road, this extra screen just kind of helps that practicality. And the fact you also have 2 sections to control your clamp control, this long bar across your dashboard, and also that touchscreen as mentioned, which also got your different driving settings, 3 different driving modes, etc. And also it's got like cruise control, 360 parking cameras, lane keep assist. So as much as it is a very fun car to drive, it also has the more boring sections, you know, the safety features. It's a practical car and they're kind of needed, especially with how well this car performs. Them safety features are definitely vital. And even though the Cyberster does provide that rather staggering 0 to 60 time of 3.2 seconds, it still is capable of doing comfortable around town drives, doing 30-mile-an-hour zones. It's not a case of as soon as you start pressing the accelerator, you're gonna go, so you don't have to worry
about crashing into anything, you know, if you're exiting a roundabout, you can still control it very well. Yes, if you get open road and you put your foot to the floor, then it will just go, and it's a lot of fun. But as I said, you can still be safe in it, you still be relaxed no matter where you're driving. And I think MG to go through with the Cyberster and make it as good as it is excellent work, because when you announced it, you know, that concept car, you're kind of looking at it thinking, oh, that's never going to come into fruition. Why would MG make that sort of car? Well, it's here and it's brilliant.